Love in the time of COVID. Yes, here we are in a time when, like other eras of pandemics and terrible disease, we have been locked up. People have been locked up in their houses alone and attempting to have relationships. Ah, that's a really crazy making thing to do, especially if you're single. But it can even be worse if you're sitting at home with someone that maybe you don't have the perfect issues with. Trust me, I have clients who are struggling with a lot of these issues every day. So what can we do if we'll just start with the people who are home with their partner, their husband or wife or live-in partner or whatever. If you are um, quarantined with somebody that you love or in a relationship with, let's start there. So starting there, part of the problem is that we have so much time together, which in the past, we've had travel, we've had going back and forth from work to home, and so we were gone, we were not together all day long, although in today's world some people do both partners work at home, which is my daughter and her husband's case, but the things are different for them because they have kids now at home with them too. Wow. So that's a whole other subject. But we'll start with just the couple who is now suddenly finding themselves 24/7 with their partner at home. And maybe one of them is not even working. Maybe both of them are not working. That's even worse because then you're stuck in a situation where not only are you stuck at home, and I say stuck at home, meaning you really have to stay at home to keep yourself safe. And maybe both of you are also struggling to find work right now, or maybe one of you is just struggling to find work. And so there's the additional pressure of what's happening financially to you as a couple. So when we find ourselves in these heightened stressful states, man, oh man, can that be a strain on a relationship, because sometimes we have things that happen between us that seem like they're about something totally different. Say we're frustrated with the way our partner swept the floor or left something out or had a tone in their voice, and it had nothing to do actually with what that partner had done, because the truth is, when we're under this kind of stress, some things just set us off that wouldn't normally set us off. So learning how to take a deep breath and notice when we're stressed, and notice that we can't control an awful lot. And I think that's really hard on us as human beings. We like to think, at least, we like to have the fantasy that we can control things. And wow, in today's world, we are out of our control zone. There's so much that we can't do that we formerly were able to do. Goals that we set for ourselves, plans that we made for ourselves that suddenly are all out the window because we have to just do what we have to do right now. Even if you're not in favor of quarantining, the truth is we're having to quarantine. We're having to social distance. It's being forced upon us, and we're being stuck in situations where our stress level is going to increase. And if our stress level is increasing, the difficulties of our relationships also are going to increase. Now, I have a lot of clients who are actually enjoying the fact that they now have the opportunity to go back to connecting with each other the way they did early in their relationship. They're actually spending time going for walks together. They're spending time watching movies together in a more relaxed way because they don't have the push and pull of their normal daily hustle and bustle of going back and forth to work and dealing with travel, and all those kinds of external pressures are out the window. So for a lot of my clients, the ones who are more fortunate to be able to work from home and don't have the financial stress that this situation has thrust upon us, those couples are able to reconnect in really amazing ways and finding themselves falling in love again and having more sex and enjoying each other's company. But that isn't probably the norm. Probably the norm is that we are more stressed. So we have the stress of the fears of what's happening out in the world, and are we going to get sick, and will somebody we love get sick and die? Those are very, very real threats that tend to send our old brain into survival mode in a way that we don't expect it to. So we end up feeling stressed, and what stress is feeling threatened. And when we feel threatened, our old brain fires off stress hormones and we get flooded with emotions, and our gray matter that we normally think of as our brain, our problem solving skills, our language skills, our ability to think things through and make good judgments kind of falls by the wayside, and we begin to react more reactively to things that are happening in our lives. So one of the challenges of being able to stay connected and in a loving relationship when you're under that kind of stress is learning to manage your stress in such a way that you can connect rather than push away from each other, which is often what happens when these kinds of situations occur, is that we start pushing against each other because, after all, you're the person in the room, and those stresses can increase. So if we can learn to separate out and not take personally some of the things that are happening and recognize and give each other a little bit of grace and forgiveness for the reactivity that they might be having right now, will allow us to step back and not take those things that are happening quite so personally. We'll be able to maybe enjoy each other's company a little more if we can stop taking on what's happening as if it were something that's a personal attack. So take a deep breath. Don't take things personally. Recognize that each of you is under stress. And see if you can let go of conversation when conversation starts to get heated or starts to get stressed, and you start to feel that heart racing and the heat rising in your body. If you could take a breath and take a step back, go maybe say, you know what, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm going to take a moment to calm myself down. Go in the other room. Go for a walk. Go sit on the back porch if it's nice. Go, just go outside and breathe the air for a moment, but get yourself away and try to settle your thoughts. And I know that can be really hard because sometimes your mind is racing really fast when these things happen. But if you could just go, okay, I'm not going to think about that. I'm not going to think about that. Oh, look at that beautiful bird. Listen to that beautiful sound. Feel the wind on my face. Notice how wonderful it feels to take a breath and get your mind on something else before you come back and be with your partner. So a lot of commitment is required when I'm talking about this, because the commitment to the relationship, by that I mean putting your relationship as important and more important than maybe your reactions to something that they've said or done. Setting the priorities a little bit higher than the immediate interaction, and giving yourself a commitment to the overall importance of the relationship so that you can let go of the small stuff and come back and regain a sense of who this person is and why you fell in love with them in the first place and why they're important to you. So take a deep breath, relax, think about something else, think about something funny that may have happened or you've seen on TV or that you've read on Facebook or whatever, and get your mind on something else before you come back and reconnect. And when you do come back, try to reconnect physically without words. Come and maybe if a hug feels too difficult, just put a hand on your partner's arm or on their shoulder, or just take a deep breath and pat them on the butt. I don't know, whatever feels right to you to help you reconnect physically without words. Or if they're sitting and watching television, or if they're just try to get physically close to them without saying anything, and try to get a physical reconnection so that you can have some sense of connection, and you do not have to have words to do that. Or you can come in and make a joke about it, about the stress level that you're in, but find a way to reconnect, because the couples that do well over the long term are couples who are able to reconnect after a disconnect. And because of the stress that we're having right now, our love relationships can really spark a lot of frustrations because we're already feeling so many frustrations. So I highly encourage you to listen to what I'm saying and see if you can find a way to give each other some grace, take some time away, understand that what's happening, the stress that they may be expressing in a way, even though it's being directed very personally toward you, to recognize that it's not really about you, and it's really not, because it's really about this condition, whatever it is that's going on inside of them at that moment. And it is possible even to say, I know this is a really difficult time. Be empathetic. Say, I know sometimes when I do things the way I do them, I know that can be difficult for you. I can understand that. I'm sorry that that's sometimes hard for you. Whatever you can do to say empathetically to your partner can also sort of lower their defenses and get past that stress a little bit. So just some quick tips for this age of quarantine, the love in the age of COVID, and hopefully this will help you start to reconnect again. And be sure to comment below if you have any thoughts or questions, and I'd love to talk further. And give me a topic idea. That would be fun for me too. So thanks for listening.